You're listening to Great Love Media.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast since 2015. I was thinking about a word, and then we're going to get into a batch of listener letters, which is always my favorite thing to do. We haven't done them in about 2 months, and I got some help for them this week, and I'll bring them in a minute. But I want to talk about success for a second. Success is an important word, but it's also kind of a nebulous one. It gets thrown around a lot on dating. Are you successful with the ladies? Was your date a success? It was a successful marriage. She answered my email. Success. And it's not the most romantic or emotional word, but it can sort of be inordinately satisfying, like a report card. You know, I'm doing okay here. I'm on the right path. I think I have a handle on this. I was right. All of it. I think that all matters. So I didn't really want to do a whole podcast about it. But as I said, we have a batch of listener letters, which is always one of my favorite things to do. And success sort of either directly or indirectly, or as I like to say, tangentially. And Keiko, our producer, always says, you like to say tangentially, don't you? Yes, I do. They're somewhat related, these letters, to the idea of success and where we want to get in our relationships and our dating experiences. So to help me with this, I wanted to add to the sweet smell of success around here. 2 very successful ladies who have been on this podcast before. I think they've been on twice each, maybe. First, she was a season 3 winner of The Bachelor. Success! She was
Success.
The season 3 Bachelorette. Not a success.
Not a success.
Now she's a happily married mother of 2 girls. Success! And she's also the host of the very, very successful From the Bachelor to the Burbs podcast, Jen Schefft Waterman. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on, Brian.
Yeah, see? The sweet smell of success. And also back with us today, she's the founder of The Social Vine. Success. Proud mom. Success. Checkered dating history. Not success. But she's also the host of the Who Does She Think She Is podcast. Big success. Stephanie Llewellyn. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
If you had to define success for you personally, how would you do it? How would you be like, that's success for me?
I think just getting up every day and not dreading what you're going to do. Maybe
elimination of dread.
Yes. Yes. Gosh.
Okay. That's a reasonable standard.
It's a low standard.
It's a low standard, but we'll get into your low standards shortly.
Okay.
Jen, how would you define success?
Well, these days, I would like my kids get out of the door, they're fed, they're dressed. Success.
So you could have success by 8:30 and the rest of the day is gravy, huh?
Correct.
Oh, that's good.
Just
Achieving success early in the day. That's why I have an omelet. Success.
Right.
Early in the
So
day. If you have a bit of tangible success before 9 a.m., I think the rest of the day is going to go smoothly. Anyway, as I said, I think this is our first batch of listener letters for 2021, and they have been stacking up like planes over LaGuardia. We have a whole bunch of them. So they were carefully curated today. They may not all make sense in terms of success, but they were a fun batch. I wanted to get at it, and I think the 2 successful ladies are going to help us out with this. So without further ado, the listener letters. And the first one comes from, you know what? I'm going to leave the names out on this one this time because we've gotten a lot of, please don't use my name, and I don't want to, but they're good letters. So I'm going to just say this is from X. Okay. No, X, the letter, not EX. Brian, I know you said that people are ridiculous about deal breakers, but let me tell you mine. I broke up with my girlfriend because she refused to use a coaster. That's the long and short of it, but it's the reality. My friends think I'm nuts and I'm overreacting, and we had talked about it 100 times. I tried the nice approach. I tried the mad approach. Nothing worked. She was ruining not just my furniture at my place, but her own stuff in her own condo. It made no sense. I just thought it showed disrespect and a sign of future issues. Did I make too big a deal about something that might not be such a big deal? I don't think so, but thought I would ask. So I am one of the worst coasterized people you could ever meet. And I also drink beverages that are completely full of ice so they sweat. I'm terrible at it, except right here on this table, because this is our podcast studio has like a $5,000 crafted table, and I am.
And don't you dare
don't
put
you
anything
dare not
on
use
it.
a coaster
There is
here.
a
So
coaster.
only recently have I been like, is this what people are talking about?
I think so.
My whole life, people would be like, coaster, and I was one of those people. And they had every right to cut me out of their lives, I think. And because now I get it. It took all of these years and me paying for an expensive table for me to change their mind. First of all, so he makes 2 points here. It could be a sign of disrespect of property. If you're in anybody's house, you have to respect their property. If they ask you, don't put your feet on that, don't do this, don't do that, I think you do have to respect it.
Yeah.
Is it a dumpable offense? Stephanie Llewellyn, who dated a guy in prison for 5 years and didn't dump him for that?
You were younger. Come on.
Yeah, that was in high school. Okay. Low standards back to that. But
God, you're like, a coaster's nothing.
right, let me tell you something. I think that she's lucky that she got released from that relationship. But
you're on her side.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get where he's coming from, but I guess I can't see that point of view really, because most of my furniture has been like trash picked, so I really don't.
You mean like trash, like out of the dump?
Literally, I care about
like
that much.
they're not going to throw that out, are they?
Well,
so it's kind of like Antique Roadshow, but not really.
Yeah, well, like I just paint it. I'll just paint it white. Oh, shabby chic.
That'll be fine.
It's shabby chic.
That's right.
Adds character. So no.
So you're like, if that's the only thing wrong, you fucked up by dumping her. But is that Jen?
That was the only.
I haven't been to your house. I don't know
mean,
how you feel on coasters.
This is a big
Well,
topic.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm married now, and there's like probably a million things that my husband's asked me to do that I forget to do, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So if you're if that's what your standard is, like I don't know. I think there's probably something else wrong with her if you couldn't look past that.
Is the coaster symbolic of
Yes, I
something
think the
else?
coaster he's mad about. He's using the coaster as like, well, she's not respecting me because I asked her not to use it or not to. I asked her to use it and she's not doing it, so she's disrespecting me.
She doesn't care about my needs.
Right. But then I think, maybe she forgot. I don't know. It's just not that important to her the way it is to you.
Well, some people are really particular about like squeegeeing the shower if you have glass
Well, I
doors.
guess
and
if you're that person,
I didn't even know that
you
was
need
a
to be with like
You're like,
somewhat of an
that's a
OCD
thing.
person as well.
So I cannot believe I'm on his side as a coaster felon, as somebody who's been terrible up until right this second. Use your coasters.
You're like, now I get it.
I do get it. And people, I imagine, are terribly frustrated. I have some of the drippiest drinks you could ever imagine. And I was rude about it. So part of me is like, now that I am coaster savvy, I think if you ask somebody a handful of times and you explain it to them in a way they can understand, like, listen, here's what happens when you don't do this. And they
Well, okay, so I've asked my husband every time he does the dishes, and he does the dishes. Yay. I don't have to ask him to do that, but then he doesn't.
Does he
like,
dry? Doesn't
the
dry?
water? No, there's like food still in the bottom of the sink, and I'm
Yeah.
like, if you could just, rinse
Yeah,
that down.
that's great you
put
did that.
They did. I'm so glad you did the dishes, but can you just fully get the food into the? And he can't do it.
Complete the
He
task.
can't. But he did the dish. No.
So if he can't do it, maybe
But he
he's
did
not
the
being
dishes.
disrespectful. Yeah,
So I'm like, he just didn't.
your battles.
Right. I can just quickly just go over.
Well, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that. I was about to say that. Is this a pick your battle circumstance?
Yes.
And if this is the only thing or the worst thing, you're right. I think and they do everything. If they have straight A's on everything else and it's a D on the coasters, maybe. But I
guess
also
the
think
coaster
this could be
is
the
a-
ghost of Christmas future. And it's like, if he doesn't do that, is he going to leave the kid on the street, or is that too big a leap?
I don't know. I feel like if this is something that is like one of the most important things to him, or if he has like OCD, something like that, like a serious condition where he needs that coaster to be used, I just feel like my ex-mother-in-law ran over to me one time, like ran The woman can barely walk, but she ran over to me because I put something on her end table. I was like, Jesus, calm down.
I grew up in a house, and if I went to my parents' house still, there were rooms that I just was not allowed in. It was like a museum.
It's like
with like a rope.
plastic on the couch.
Don't ever go in. My sisters could go in there, but I was not allowed.
Well, you were a boy.
Right.
Boys
Right.
are
That's the
messy.
whole thing. So why boys are messy? If this was flipped, I think a lot of women could be like, boys are messy or whatever. He, though, is the girl is messy. I think that's sexist.
No, I feel like girls are usually messier.
Yeah, they can be.
They can be. But
I judge a girl. If you go in the bathroom and there's just crap all over the place or whatever, it's not good. And a lot of girls
They should
are like
clean
that.
before you come over.
Yeah.
To protect, to show you that they
At
can
least in the
be clean.
beginning.
At the beginning.
Yeah. And then your true
they
colors
should.
come out.
So
once you're-
I think that this it's disrespectful if he asked a few times and he still doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I do get that.
I think it's okay to dump. Find a coaster user that suits the rest of your needs. Easier said than done. I don't know.
I'm
surprised I'm not.
I've never heard of such a coaster freak.
No, I mean clearly they don't have the same values.
I think it's what it boils. You're right. You're right.
So, right. They should be apart.
I could never date a guy like that. So
I know you need to say, how do you stand on coasters? That is probably
you use a coaster if I ask you
right.
to.
That's a good dating.
that's a good dating profile
question.
thing. Yeah.
All right, next one.
He should put that. In
Put
his,
anal
in his,
about coasters.
Yes.
Thing, whatever it's called.
Well, here's a good one. This might step it up. Well, the next one. You know the old saying, for richer or poorer in sickness and in health? Well, I understand the sickness and in health part. I think you have to stay with your partner in that case. But what about the poorer part? If I am with a guy who is successful in making money and we have a certain lifestyle, I mean, that is who he is and that is our relationship. If that changes, the whole thing changes, right? Do I have to stick around in that case?
Married or not
Stephanie?
married?
You don't have to do anything, but if you take a vow, I don't really know about marriage vows, but I feel like if you are maybe take those out, if it's contingent, if it's a contingency, it's like, maybe
it could fundamentally change the relationship. I mean, if it's rich or poor and people get laid off, things can change all the time.
hills and
Yes.
valleys. I feel like
I
you gotta-
agree. I think you should be mostly on the ride for it. But if he's like, I don't want to work anymore, and you said we would be together no matter what, and I'm going to cut my salary from X dollars down to,
Well, I mean,
we're gonna
that's not
scrape
who
by.
he is. What successful is not who he is.
I make $200,000 and now I want to make 20. I think we can get by on it. Are you with me, honey? Rich or poor? We love each other. Are we in?
That's not for me. Oh, now the more I think, I'm letting it just sit
So
with
richer
me.
or poor, as long as poor is not a decision. We're just going to be minimalists. We don't need this house.
We need to talk about
We have-
it.
Okay, we're
Yes.
so
a discussion
It
needs
could
to
be a
had. We have to
conversation.
come to that discussion together and how we want to live our lives.
how much of
together.
what he does is who he is, or vice versa. If she's like, I know you married me with this body, I'm going to go eat now because we're married.
Because now we're married.
Yeah.
And I don't
which
care as
which
much.
happens.
Yeah.
I think he's got to stay. I do.
Doesn't have to.
I think he has to. I'm like, you're in. I think maybe that's easy for me to say, but I think you're in.
I'm out.
Like, I think you're in. I think like you do. The poorer is sort of life's up and downs.
I think that's the big deal. That's the thing, though. It's like, are they down because they want to be?
yeah.
Or are they down because they're just in a down period?
I
and
lost
they're gonna,
my will
bring it
to
up?
work on
Yeah,
Wall
no, then-
Street, or something like that. Because I know a lot of guys in New York, and they would be like, I want to be a charter boat fisherman.
Yes.
And maybe that will make them happy. If whatever their high pressure job was making unhappy,
For sure,
it really
yeah.
isn't about the money. It's about, could they be a better person? Could they be a better father?
Right,
Could they be a better
right.
partner? So I think that you're going to have to try out the poorer.
Yeah. If
'Cause
it's
he might
for that
be better.
reason,
He might be better.
yes.
He might be happier.
Honey,
He might
look
be
at what I
nicer.
whittled you for your birthday.
I'll take it. You know what? If it was for happiness and their job is killing them,
Yes.
they're unhappy. I'm like, quit. I'll pick up the slack on the
Right.
other end. I don't want you to have a job
Yeah.
that makes you
Well,
miserable.
that's the
Sometimes-
other thing. Whoever, who's the other person in the relationship? They can be bringing money in.
Yeah.
Maybe they can
Step
pick up
up,
the
sis.
slack
What are
for
we
a
doing?
little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I get
agree.
it. I think you have to try out poorer because you might become
like
richer in other
Exactly.
things. It might change, and you realize that this isn't what I loved about the person. It has nothing to do with all this stuff. It was really about us, and we were freed up from all that jewelry
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the cars
All that
in the driveway, and now
stupid
we go for
gross
walks.
stuff.
stuff.
I think you need to And if you're poor and suddenly you're rich, you know, maybe you're at the mall too much, and that doesn't work out either. So it does have to come. I'm